Hello and welcome to Beyond Borders Briefing. Today we are going to talk about the G20 Summit that took place in New Delhi, India, on September 9th and 10th, 2023. The G20 is a group of 20 countries that represent the world's largest economies and account for 80% of the global GDP, 75% of international trade and about two-thirds of the world population. The G20 leaders meet every year to discuss international economic cooperation and political issues. This year's summit was hosted by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who announced the central theme as sustainable development. The summit focused on topics such as food security, debt relief for vulnerable countries and climate action. However, the summit was also overshadowed by the ongoing war in Ukraine, where Russia has invaded and occupied parts of the country since 2021. The war in Ukraine created deep divisions among the G20 members, especially between Russia and China on one side and the US and its allies on the other. The differences were so stark that some observers feared that the G20 leaders would not be able to agree on a joint declaration, which would be a first in the history of the group. A joint declaration is a document that summarizes the main outcomes and commitments of the summit and reflects the consensus of all members. However, after intense negotiations, the G20 leaders managed to reach a consensus on a joint declaration that contains 83 paragraphs and covers 112 outcomes and presidency documents. Modi hailed this as a major achievement and said that this year's G20 was the most ambitious in the history of G20. The joint declaration acknowledges the different views and assessments by member states on the war in Ukraine. It also leaves out any direct mention of Russian aggression, instead simply stating that all states must refrain from the threat or use of force to seek territorial acquisition against the territorial integrity and sovereignty or political independence of any state. The use or threat of use of nuclear weapons is inadmissible. The joint declaration also addresses other important issues such as strengthening global health systems, enhancing digital cooperation, promoting inclusive growth, supporting low-income countries, advancing gender equality, enhancing financial stability, fostering innovation and ensuring a just transition to a low-carbon economy. The joint declaration is seen as a sign of hope and cooperation in a time of crisis and uncertainty. It also shows that the G20 remains a relevant and influential forum for global governance and problem-solving. However, some critics argue that the joint declaration is too vague and weak to address the urgent challenges facing the world today. They also point out that the joint declaration does not guarantee that the G20 members will follow through on their promises and actions. What do you think about the G20 summit and its joint declaration? Do you think it was a success or a failure? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more news updates. Thank you for watching and see you next time.